Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Super Justice League of Bat Friends, episode number 170. I'm one of your hosts, Chris, alongside my co-host, the world champion, Joe. What's going on, Joe?
That's what's going on right there. That's what's going on.
That's good stuff.
See, you don't know wrestling, so that joke's only good. That's the other one. That joke's only half wasted on you.
Listen, Lefty Power, that's all I know.
Ravishing Rick Rude, that's what the gag is, that Ned Flanders is Ravishing Rick Rude,
Okay.
who would come out in those tights, and typically when he feud with someone, he'd get their wife airbrushed on his crotch. So he'd just be like, oh yeah, your wife wants to fuck me. That was his gimmick. That was pretty much his gimmick. Because he was so ravishing.
There's this, I'm sure this is old, and you're going to be like, oh, I saw this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But there's this reel going around where this, chick does this move where she, the guy, or the person's in the corner belt.
Okay.
And she, jumps on their face and, swings up and down and everything.
Bronco Buster. Because they're on the ground,
Okay.
right? They're on the
they're
bottom
sitting down.
turnbuckle.
Yeah.
It's the turnbuckle.
And whatever. And the meme is, if wrestling is fake, then explain this. So that happens, and then a guy, jumps into the ring and pulls the chick off and sits down all happy, look at me. And then she gets back and does, her whole, licks her lips and everything, and then I'm pretty sure it's Rey Mysterio, comes in and does it to him.
Yeah, I think I
That's
might
the extent
remember that.
of my current wrestling knowledge.
It kind of annoys me when they do the if wrestling is fake and explain this, because they do, in some of the indie shows, there's a guy who dresses up like Michael Jackson and will, do a moonwalk in the ring. And I'm like, yeah, that's someone doing something stupid. It also misses the point. Again, I think we talked about this off air. Maybe we talked about it on air. I don't fucking know. Time has lost all meaning. But, nobody sits there. We're about to watch Justice League. It's a cartoon. Nobody sits there and is like, fucking Justice League's so fake. Even though it literally is. It's moving pictures. None of this exists in reality.
Joe, you say that.
I do.
And I've had way too many conversations that usually end with me saying, it's a fucking movie, just turn off your brain and enjoy it. Where
but do they ever say the word fake?
Yeah, maybe not fake, but the response I get is usually well, that wouldn't happen in real life. And I'm always thinking, yeah, and a Kryptonian's planet wouldn't explode, come to this planet, decide to be a Boy Scout superhero, and save all of humanity from a dude who collects fucking civilizations in a jar.
I mean, that is the story of Jesus, though.
I didn't know Jesus fought Brainiac.
Yeah. Along with Steamboat Willie. That's what I should do. Jesus and Steamboat Willie fighting the bad guys.
We should have talked about this off air, but now I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, fuck it, let's go.
It. Did you pick up Ultimate Spider-Man?
No, I still mean to. It's just life. Because I need to read the Ultimate thing he did first, the miniseries.
Okay. I mean, you could get away without doing it, but I understand where you're coming from.
Because I talked about it with our friend that was a shop, and I told him, I remember, I think you told me, or I might have seen something else. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to pick up that Hickman Ultimate thing when it happened. I go, and then it was December. And I don't know what happened.
I'm really interested to know what you think of not necessarily that I think you'll think it's the greatest comic ever, but just the... Can I tell you one thing about it?
Well, so he told me something that made me go oh shit. So
this isn't really story related. It's more undertones of what's
okay.
So
the thing I'm talking about is story related.
Okay. Well, I'm asking, do you mind?
Whatever. Well, hold on. I'm gonna say what I know, and then you can say what you know.
Okay.
So spoiler alerts for Ultimate Spider-Man 1, I guess.
Yes.
Something.
Yeah.
So again, in the whole zeitgeist, I lost track that Ultimate Spider-Man was Peter and Mary Jane.
Yes.
Because I knew that was happening, but I didn't realize it was the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was talking to our friend, he goes, well, yeah, and he gets his powers as an adult. And I went, what? I'm like, oh, that is very different.
So this is a part of it where the whole lead up is Peter being in his 30s with a wife and kids, but more importantly in his a man in his 30s, and kind of there's this whole conversation he has with Mary where, like, you think they're going to get divorced of how they're talking.
Yeah.
But, like, it's him just being like, I don't feel full. I don't feel satisfied. I don't feel, like, completely
fulfilled.
happy.
Yeah.
And that's the conversation that leads to him being like, I'm going to do the Spider-Man thing.
Okay.
Joe, this hit me really, really deep, man.
Yeah, now you know how I felt when I watched Clerks 3.
Yeah. Like, it's not the greatest comic ever, but just, it's the right character at the right time in my life.
Yeah.
And I was just like, fuck, man.
It's what
really hit me.
People miss about the outrage of them taking away the marriage and shit. It's that Peter is an everyman. So when the majority of the readership were teenagers or young 20s or what have you, that was what they wanted. And then as they got older, they want different things. And when you take that away, it makes him feel like less of an everyman.
It's funny because
even before you do the thing of, like, you know, he's married to a model and, you know.
I always say my favorite Spider-Mans are...
Ben Reilly? Ben Reilly.
No, my favorite I shouldn't say Spider-Man, like, characters in comics are Spider-Girl and Miles Morales.
Okay.
And...
So when you say Spider-Girl, you're saying Mayday, right?
Yeah, whatever they're calling it, M2, whatever the fuck it's called.
That's why I always just say Mayday.
And...
As opposed to Ghost Spider or Spider-Gwen or...
No, I'm talking about before fucking Spider-Verse was a thing, there was just Spider-Girl. And it was better.
It was the baby that Norman kidnapped.
But I narrowed it down to I like Spider-Man as like a teenager, like a kid, like having fun, dealing with weird shit. And as Miles is growing older, I'm enjoying him less. Because
so you want to live vicariously with you want Batman heels on his shoulders as he's fucking Catwoman,
Yes, on the rooftop.
I always want old miserable bastard. That's what I want of everyone.
See, for Spider-Man in particular is how I feel. And there's also a part of it that's like Spider-Man's been a fucking 80-year soap opera, and it's hard to jump in the middle. But but this I liked more, and I think it's because I jumped in at the beginning.
So here's the thing, because you sparked something else that I thought of. One podcast I listened to, because ultimately all podcasts are about other podcasts. They were having a conversation about, and it's in passing, that kids seem to have no problem watching the same movie or show over and over and over again.
Yes. And
as you get older, you don't want that. You want to see new things, or you have a harder time watching the same thing over and over again. Not absolutely true, but whatever.
I was going to say, I found it to be false.
But for some people.
I know.
And the joke response I wanted to make to it was, well, yeah, because as you get older, you get closer to death. So there's less time, so you want to just have new things rather than the same things over and over and over again. I was going somewhere with this. Oh,
some of us are wasting time until that day comes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I got like 3 years. So when you talk about, because I was thinking about it, because like my first issue of Spider-Man was like 296. It was a purely random issue.
Yeah.
It never intimidated me that like there's all these hundreds of other issues, and I think part of that can be linked to age, because when you're younger, not everyone, obviously everyone's different, but you can look at it as like, oh, there's all this other stuff that I can discover, and it's so cool. And when you're older, you're like, there's only so much time left, man. Like, I gotta focus on some good shit.
It's also, the ones I've tried to, it feels like, not to make this the Spider-Man therapy podcast, but it feels
Sailor Moon!
It feels like Spider-Man is just at a point where he just keeps referencing himself.
Yes.
So Nick Spencer did Spider-Man.
It becomes too masturbatory. That's why I'm like, I've always been in favor of, like, I'm happy, just philosophically, I'm happy that Ultimate Spider-Man is, hey, what if he was middle-aged when he became Spider-Man? And he already had, just because it's something different.
That's another thing. I've said, I think it's another reason it really appeals to me is that the entire Ultimates universe now is like the ultimate what-if book.
Yeah.
But But no, when Nick Spencer took over Spider-Man, and I love Nick Spencer, he did not see Captain America.
That's why you love him.
And I read it, and I was just like, I remember talking with people, and I was like, I'm finally reading Spider-Man. And I was like, but I don't know, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get what's going on. And fucking people have been reading Spider-Man their whole lives. We're like, well, he's fixing this and that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but that's, like, what's that do for me?
Again, it's where you've lost the core of what, not you, but them. You've lost the core of what Spider-Man is. Spider-Man at his core is a down-on-his-luck kid who can't catch a fucking break.
Yeah.
Now, as you get older, that should be easier, because he lives in New York City, so he can't afford a fucking apartment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there should be more things where it's just like, fuck.
He should team up with Vermin Supreme and just rant about how the rent is too damn high.
True. That's not Vermin's thing, but sure.
Wasn't that Vermin Supreme the guy
nope.
with the boot?
Yes, but that was not... His thing was not rent. That was the black guy. Rent is too damn high. Vermin Supreme believes that everyone should have a pony. Last I checked.
Well, last I heard, Vermin Supreme is declaring himself an anarchist, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, Vermin's... Again, off air, we had a conversation about performance art. Vermin Supreme understands performance art.
Yeah, this is the rent is too damn high guy.
No... Google rent is too damn high guy and see what comes out. Yeah, that's the rent is too damn guy.
Yeah, they look alike.
You need to get your eyes checked.
Mustache. I love this. Oh my god.
Yeah, that guy was awesome. And I love that he was a mono issue. Like, all he said was rent. That was it. Foreign fucking affairs, fuck him. Fucking economic policy, only about rent. That was his one issue.
You know what we should do about Israel? The rent's too damn high.
Exactly.
Oh, man. With a podcast. Here we go. Let's see if we can find it, Joe.
What the fuck are you doing now? You know we're recording a show, right?
Oh, come on.
We're literally in the middle
I know
of a
it.
show.
This is part of the joke, but it's not working, Joe.
That's why you shouldn't do that.
Let's watch this shitty series.
What the fuck are you doing?
We're gonna watch season 1, episode 3 of Justice League called
Chris has lost his
Secret
fucking
Origins Part 3. This is written by Rich Fogel and directed by Dan Ribba.
We might have to fight about this show, because the next two fucking two-parters, how far did you get? Spoiler alert.
The Enemy Below.
Just the first part?
Yes.
Or did you get both parts?
Oh, there's 2 parts? It didn't say there was 2 parts.
Everything is 2 parts, Chris. Everything's at least 2 parts. Let me correct that. Everything's at least 2 parts. Which is also part of why the show's so great.
We will get to it, because I did enjoy the next... This
I was going to say...
This arc's stupid.
But like, this and the Aquaman... Spoiler alert, Aquaman. Enemy Below, Aquaman. Like... Those are just 2... I'm like, yeah, this is why I love this show. It's not because of fucking white Martians. Fuck Whitey.
The next... So, I like the next 2 because, A, I fucking love Jon Stewart. But B, I also love Aquaman. And, I mean, the fact that they ripped off the Jason Momoa movie just is its own thing, but...
Yeah, 20 years before it ever happened.
It's time travel, man.
Amazing. Oh, yeah, that's right. We're back to satellite. Dude. I don't even fucking remember this shit. I don't know what's going on. Oh, yeah, no closed captioning because... And Max fucking sucks.
Joe, I mean... That was part of the whole time travel that Barron Trump went back to.
Let's not start doing that. Because he fucking... My buddy posted about that, too. And I'm like, dude, we covered this 5 years ago. What the fuck?
No, so that's... they're good. I enjoyed them.
Whatever. And it's gonna keep getting better, though. That's my point. I do
have you in the back of my head. This will happen for the rest of my life. Because I remember picking up an issue of Green Lantern that just... the cover of it just said guilty and had Jon Stewart in handcuffs. And I'm buying this issue, and Joe's standing next to me, and he just goes, "Black man handcuffs, as usual." So the entire episode, that's all I'm thinking about.
Yes! No, that's on purpose. Like, that episode, we're already skipping this episode, talking about the next one. That episode literally starts with just black man in the impoverished neighborhood he's going back to. let out in handcuffs for a crime he literally did not commit.
And another reason I don't like this Joe, it's so fucking woke. A white dude saving black people, what's going on here?
So, this was a joke I know you'll enjoy. Because again, on my other podcast, Inner Circle Jerks, we were talking about Godzilla, and I said, if Godzilla came out now, or I'm just waiting for someone to make this argument, it would get lambasted as being woke as fuck. Because all Godzilla is punishment for man's hubris of creating the atomic bomb. That literally is what Godzilla is. Mm-hmm. It's woke as fuck. Fucking climate change motherfuckers.
That's why I said earlier that the word is lost all meaning, because it's just thing I don't like.
Yes. That's, yeah. If you're going to get to that point, that's all of any label ever, because that's what it gets to. Well, did I ever tell you that? Hold on, we're going to talk about this for a minute. Content warning. I'm talking about reality.
Trigger warning.
So, no, I didn't use that on purpose. So,
I did use it on purpose.
Because you're a fucking asshole. So, because my buddy was in Afghanistan when I knew him. I forget how long his tour was. But he tells stories and stuff. So, Haji was a word used by some of the locals to mean like renowned or holy. Like it was a term of endearment. Mm-hmm. And then American soldiers went there and started calling people Hajis in a bad way. Mm-hmm. At which point the locals started taking that to mean an insult, a bad way, even though it literally was a compliment. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean by that's what all labels get to if they get used that way. You know what I mean? Like they all lose all meaning because all it becomes is just a way to just be shitty.
Oh yeah. But that's why when people get mad online about something being woke, I'm just like, well, you got to define it for me at this point, because I don't even know what to argue with you about.
So I was having a conversation with a friend of ours about public domain. We actually had a pretty good long one. And
the comic?
Yeah. Okay. Well, just public domain in general.
Oh, okay.
Because Steamboat Willie and shit. Which, by the way, public service announcement, Mickey Mouse is not public domain. Steamboat Willie is. And he said something like, well, that's the whole point of free enterprise. And I said something in response. He goes, well, that's not what I was saying. I go, okay, so if you're using the word, please define the term, because I don't know what you're talking about. And it was one of those where he was basically defining the word to mean that the thing he said had to be true. It had to be a tautology, because the definition of the word backs up what he's saying. I'm like, cool. I'm in favor of a robust public domain, for the record.
Well, at the end of the day, if the person who created it is long dead...
Like, this is my whole argument. This is my whole argument, because this is actually someone I know that worked for The Simpsons that I knew through Yambar. He asked about it. He was asking genuinely, and I gave him a genuine answer, along with other people. Like, pick whatever it is, because apparently Superman and Batman are coming up on getting into the public domain in the next 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. And, so let's say that day comes, right? So Batman's in the public domain. DC, Warner Brothers, whoever, can still make Batman whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah. They
just actually have to compete in the open market.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with, like, my personal position is, I'm fine with if you invent something, you get a monopoly on it for a certain amount of time. Whether you're an individual, because the person tried to draw a distinction between, like, a corporation and a person. I'm like, no, it's all the same. Like, you get a monopoly on it. That's what copyright is. Because you made it. You get to benefit from it. But that needs to be a limited thing. Because, like, the world.
I do put, and this is probably, this is definitely arbitrary, but I do put a distinction in my head between something that could help people. Like, a physical thing that could help people shouldn't be in copyright for a person's entire life. Like, I don't know, let's say insulin.
Okay, hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
So, what you're generally speaking about is usually what a patent would apply to, and patents do operate under different rules. So...
Yeah, but just my point here.
Okay, your general.
Because I don't think everything should be... But a creative endeavor, I think, does... I don't know, in my head, should have a different standard. Where, like, Siegel and Schuster should have been able to benefit from their creation throughout their life. And then once they're gone, I have no problem with it being public domain.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think generally we're playing in the same area.
Yeah.
But yeah. But yeah.
But Mickey should have been in the public domain, what, like 30 years ago?
Yeah, in the 70s, I believe.
Yeah. And Walt Disney is long dead, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I get his head is frozen underneath Walt Disney World, but...
The other thing, and this is what will get us shut down. My other issue with with the Disney Corporation as a specific entity is that it was a company built on characters in the public domain.
Yeah.
So for them to then turn around and be like, yeah, but our shit should never go into it, it's just like, nah, brah, nah. Ideas are free. Let them be free. Because my other point also, and then it really made me feel bad when this person, who I generally like, not our friend, the other person. I do like our friend, but you'll understand when I finish my sentence. Made the thing of like, well, you know, what's the difference between owning an idea and owning a house? And it's just like, well, 3 families can all make money off of an idea. It's much harder for 3 families to live in one single family home. Like when you're talking about real property versus intellectual property, that's kind of a big part of it.
Oh, it's... Yeah. I don't know, Justice Fighting White Martians. Batman's dead, so this entire show is just worthless.
So that was part of Snyder's original plan for the Snyderverse, that Batman was going to die.
Of course, he's terrible.
That was the part we walked in on. Where, so, here everybody, I'm going to go to Bullets and Blockbusters. They're cool on YouTube. And I was watching their Snyderverse thing, and then Chris showed up, and I had to stop watching it. Originally, Riddler, who was going to be in the Batfleck movie, was going to solve the anti-life equation, give it to Luthor, who was going to give it to Darkseid. Darkseid was going to use the solved anti-life to take control of Superman, brainwash him.
Okay.
He did this. This is some weird body horror shit. He did this by boom. So Lois, who is pregnant, because Snyder needs to do all the awful stereotypes. Lois, who's pregnant, is in the Batcave with Batman and Superman. Darkseid attacks with his army. Superman's like, "Yo, I'm gonna go fight this alien. You protect my wife." Flies off. Darkseid's like, "Sucker!" Boom tubes to the Batcave and murders Lois just as Superman arrives to see his pregnant wife being killed by Darkseid's Omega beams.
Oh, so he's doing injustice.
Yes.
Okay.
But then, because Superman's full of rage, Anti-Life takes him over, so then he becomes Darkseid's puppet, and they murder like everybody but Batman. So like, Wonder Woman's dead, Aquaman's dead, whatever. That's where we get the nightmare future. And their big plan is to send Flash back in time to tell Batman how to save the future, which comes down to, hey, jump in front of the Omega beams so they kill you instead of Lois. Which works, apparently. So then Batman's dead and Superman leads the Justice League in fighting people.
To be fair, that still would have been better than the Flash movie.
Probably.
I've been saying for a while now, to all the Snyder Bros out there,
move on with your life.
And feel free to prove me wrong, although you'll never have a chance, because you won't actually buy this thing, so DC can't make money off of it. That the real solution to the Snyderverse thing is to just let him make some comics out of it.
Yeah, but then you'd have to, write.
Exactly my point. So if you let the Snyderverse become its own comic and tell the story of what it was going to be,
yeah, but that's the thing. Snyder Bros aren't comic fans,
and that's the thing.
Yeah. So
you talk to the Snyder Bros and be like, listen, here's your chance to support Snyder and say, we would have pimped the hell out of the Snyderverse. Go buy these comics. Then I'm sure they'd get Jim Lee to fucking write or draw as well.
You know the better solution that might actually work?
Animated?
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Because, to the extent that they would, which they won't because they're just bots. They don't actually exist. There are no actual Snyderverse fans. They're more likely to watch an animated movie than they are to pick up a comic.
Yeah. Yeah, so similar idea, but they won't do either.
No.
Like,
because it fucking failed!
Like, I would at least pick up the first couple issues of the Snyderverse comic. Because I would be like, I gotta see where this shit's going.
I don't buy DC Comics now. I don't know why I would buy them if Snyder wrote them.
But Joe, Golden Age Green Lantern has a Red Lantern now.
Yeah.
And he's Russian.
Yeah, of course he is. Because that's the most obvious choice to make. Couldn't have had him... Jesus fucking Christ.
Could you guess who's writing that series?
Jeff Johns. Most banal, basic bitch fucking comic writer there is. He's the Rob Liefeld of comic writers.
Oh, God. Fuck Rob Liefeld. So, Joe, Rob Liefeld has a new comic coming out.
I like how this has just turned into us bitching about things.
Like, it's like some hentai shit from when White Martians... I don't know. This is a cell?
Yeah, that was weird. Like, that's just a thing.
And then, I mean, of course the center's a fucking
I also like that the White Martians hate sunlight. Like, that's a weird choice, but go on.
I was just saying that the fucking politician was a lizard person.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I watched...
Joe, I've been telling you this for years. Sunlight is the best disinfectant.
Jesus Christ. I watched the original Toxic Avenger for the first time since we last recorded. So I watched it, and I was like, I was good, because I forget what it was on one of the services. It might have been on Prime. I'm like, let me watch. I'd been meaning to. I'm like, let me watch it. Which then set me down a whole rabbit hole of the fucking oh God, I can't think of his name. Game of Thrones, the wee one.
Dinklage?
Yeah, the Dinklage Toxic Avenger. Because that apparently came out in film festivals, and that's it. Yeah.
There was a trailer for it last year. I thought it was coming out to theaters.
I thought so too. But in like September, they had it at film festivals, which is around when the trailer came out. And there's no other streaming, theatrical release, anything.
I thought a big studio was behind that.
Anyway, now you're understanding my confusion.
Yeah.
So, I watched it, and I'm watching it. And I told my buddy Gil, because he's like, I love Toxic Avenger. And we both love Toxic Crusaders, because we are men of taste. And I go, I really am enjoying this. I get it. I don't think people younger than us could enjoy it. I don't think they could. I mean, you might be able to find some, but I'm saying in a general sense.
Yeah.
I don't think they can understand its historical place.
It's a time and place.
Yes. It is of its time. And, like, it's also important to remember that it was a very low-budget film studio. Like, this wasn't a mainstream film.
This was...
And that's part of... We've talked about before. That's part of streaming and everything. What it robs of people is that they don't understand the context in which something was created.
Yeah, this is even pre the big indie film scene of
100%,
the 90s.
100%.
Because I think it was 84.
Yeah, it was... Yeah. It was very much... I mean,
but it fits in that mold.
It does.
That, like, you and I both got really into when we were younger and continue to...
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you. And it's got a weird style that I could see that.
And there's titty. Which I was like, that's nice. Because it's not... We've talked about it. It's not like it's overly sexual, just like, ooh. But it's just like, oh, something's happening and there's a titty. That's nice. Like, and you move on with your life.
Yeah.
I miss that.
All this says is that it came out at Fantastic Fest September 21st.
That's what I'm telling you, that's what I found. And I know Fantastic Fest is a film festival.
Yeah. I don't care. I specifically Googled the 2023
I know.
version.
Now, see,
I don't
you
want...
are literally, you're literally doing exactly what I did.
I could have swore there was a big studio behind this.
So... It also, the one thing that does annoy me is that the Martian walkers, which apparently are some form of living creature, are able to survive in the sunlight. Like, if they're a biological being and the white Martians burn up, why don't they burn up?
We're doing War of the Worlds with superheroes. Like,
I know.
It's...
Enhance. So the other thing that I know you're going to agree with me that's nice about Justice League and Unlimited, Batman's not in every episode. Like, it's not just the Batman show with other people. Like, sometimes he's there for some scenes, but not others. Like, it's actually a team show.
I was happy, like, I think it's the next... Yeah, he's not in the next two.
Right. And he's in... Even the Aquaman one, like, he shows up, but he's not... There's a lot of it where he's just not there.
And I was actually kind of realizing this, because a lot of Batman recently has been Batman in Gotham.
Yeah.
Or Batman with the Justice League. And for some reason, when Batman's with the Justice League, I give a pass on a lot of things.
It is also odd to me, and I forget it sometimes because I've watched the whole show, of like the very early Wonder Woman's just experiencing the world for the first time.
That is one thing I was going to bring up, was Wonder Woman really plays as a teenager in this show to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the one thing, Batman, because Jason Aaron's writing Batman right now.
Okay.
And
what's Chip writing? Detective?
Oh, he's writing a Batman.
Okay.
It's called Batman Off-World.
Okay.
And the whole story is like the first time Batman goes off-world.
Okay.
And what I realize I'm reading it, because I love Jason Aaron and I think it's a decent book, is that I don't like Batman. Like, I don't like sci-fi Batman.
You don't like Batman as a superhero. You like Batman as the myth.
I like him
the
in
pulp
Gotham,
of Gotham.
Like, yeah. So when they do in Blackest Night, which we'll talk about next episode, everybody.
Yeah.
It made me happy not to see him in space, because I'm like, this isn't the spot for Batman.
Right,
this is the spot for Superman and everybody else. Hawk Girl.
Is there a Hawk Boy? Really?
There's a Hawk Man.
Really, Flash?
There's a Hawk Man.
That was just... I don't know what that was. Like, you're gonna see. Because, like, there's a whole arc. Because, you know, John's up in the Watchtower. And I think it's when we get to Unlimited. Where there's a whole arc where Superman's kind of like, yo, man, you've been cooped up in this satellite for a long time. You should go do something. And just the fact that they had that thought as they were doing those storylines. Like, today, they would have just left John in the satellite forever. Mm-hmm. Just been like, that's his thing. That's what he does. It's like, no, like, he's a character, and it's not good to be obsessed like that.
Yeah, so my initial thoughts coming out of the first 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Wasn't a fan of the story. But anyways. Yeah, Wonder Woman.
How dare you? Grant
Wonder
will be very offended.
Plays like a teenager.
Yes, because of the inexperience.
The Flash is terrible, but that's just par for the course.
That's Wally, though.
You're
holding Barry against Wally, and that's not fair.
Keep going. Green Lantern. I fucking love that it's Jon Stewart.
You're the only one.
Hawk Girl. Racist. Hawk Girl.
No, I like that story. I think it's funny that this was around the Heat era, so there would have been like Hal Jordan people who were probably fucking still pissed.
But
yeah.
But now I think about it, because one of my friends said this was like, he watched this and this is why he's a Jon Stewart fan. And I was like, I probably vicariously through people had just seen Jon Stewart, and that's why Jon Stewart is Green Lantern to me. So, fuck Flash, talk about Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. Hawk Girl is kind of whatever so far.
Oh no, like, you're gonna get there, don't worry.
I've never been a big Hawk fan.
No, this made me like Hawk, and like, in Blackest Night, I can't remember which part, there's one part where I'm like, yeah, it's my kind of lady. I'm just hoping, like, she's basically a bruiser at this, like, from what I've watched so far. She's a berserker.
I'm just hoping, because they give her an origin and say, this is who she is. If they could just stick with it, that would be phenomenal.
You're going to see.
But we'll see.
You're going to see.
I
know. I've already seen it.
And then Batman and Superman are the same characters we already watched.
Yeah.
Did I miss anybody? Oh, Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter.
I like that Martian Manhunter's like had this cool origin. I hope they do more with him, because he is a cool character, but they
don't do enough.
It does seem like he's just going to be like
the
guy that watch.
I don't remember. Watcher. Yeah. There's a couple. I think there's a couple episodes where he actually gets something good, but like in general, they do kind of default to like John's up in the sky watching over all us sinners.
Yeah, it's
because that's the story of Jesus.
So yeah, well, first story arc,
because it's why I know. But it's also, again, like we just talked about, it's in the context of it's coming out of Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series. So, like, there's, because, as part of this show, we didn't watch Superman. I never really watched Superman. So there's callbacks and things, like the fact of in the next episode, Superman just kind of goes up and just like kind of knows shit. Because in his show, he'd gone to space a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
He dealt with these people.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of them, but like, so there's some kind of assumed knowledge that they're bringing into.
I respect what they're doing here, because this is, for the time,
Yeah.
super ambitious. This is this is up there with the first Avengers movie in terms of like, we're gonna bring the Justice League together in a cartoon that's gonna be weekly. Like, I don't know, and it's going to rely on continuity that we've been building for X amount of years.
Right.
Like it's
a shared universe with 2 other animated. Well, I think Static Shock had happened at this point, so technically like 3 other animated shows.
well, this is 2001, right?
No, we talk about this every time. You always put it later. It's earlier than you think. Who was texting me? Oh, just the fucking bullshit. What are you doing? Leave it alone. Don't fuck with it.
Oh, I thought I had the.
No, I don't think it does. But Justice League animated.
Because Static Shock comes out around the same time as Batman Beyond.
Oh,
right?
it's 2000. First episode date, November 17th, 2001.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was a gap where they had Batman Beyond Static Shock. So I'm remembering that right. Because I remember the commercials of them coming out together.
Oh, okay. Okay, but still, like, it's just...
But
yeah.
But still, it's a bunch of cartoons leading up to... Anyways. But yeah. Joe found something on the internet, everybody.
Krang's giant android body.
Speaking of which, I know how we're starting the next episode. Joe, let's get out of here.
Does he work? No, here's the thing. Fuck, Jesus Christ. I don't want notifications. Okay. So, there's been this thing where, like, there's Transformers, and they're like, Transformers, vinyl figure. If I'm gonna buy a Transformer, I want it to transform.
Yeah.
So, that's where I'm like, it's Krang's android body. You could pull off his chest plate and see his guts and stuff. But I'm like, but can he, like, his arms move? Because if his arms can't move, I just buy the old Krang that I had when I was a kid. Oh, and you want to know another fucking early trauma my fucking parents did? Because I was like 6 or 7, and I had this fucking 18-inch android that was fucking amazing, and I loved it. And they're like, well, you got to pick up your toys, or they're going to get thrown out. So then, this toy that I got for Christmas that was super awesome, and maybe I just left, you know, we didn't own a house, so it wasn't that inconvenient, and it's not that small. My dad told me he threw it out, and I started crying. Because you don't fucking do that to your fucking kids. Fucking assholes. And then he didn't, and he thought that was going to make it better. And it's like, no, that just means you're a psychopath.
This is why Joe has trust issues.
Yep. That's not the only reason, though. Everyone I've ever loved has betrayed me. Isn't that great? I had a girlfriend that I'm just ranting. I had a girlfriend that I was going to move into, and the day before we were going to sign the lease, yes, we were going to move in together, and the day before we were going to sign the lease, she fucked somebody else.
Yeah, I've been there. Maybe not at the exact moment, but like, yeah. It's good times.
And then called me while he was in the bed next to her.
To talk about the lease or the breakup?
Yep, to talk about the lease. Yeah. Patreon.com/ClicksNexus.
Bitchesbecrazy.com.
These hoes ain't loyal.
You can follow Joe on X if you want.
No, you can't. I'm not there.
Are you off there?
I haven't posted anything there in like a year. Why do you think I don't promote it?
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. I can't even log in now. Like I could, but I'm not going to go to the effort of logging in. So, as I said somewhere else, because we were talking about Tony Khan on Inner Circle Jerks, he's like, well, have you seen Tony Khan on X? I'm like, Twitter.
Stop dead naming Twitter.
No, I'm going to dead name Twitter forever. Because it still goes to twitter.com. And I go, no. Like, unless you send me something, I can't see it. Because if you just go in without logging in, you can't see replies. The search is fucked and doesn't work. So literally, it is useless to me. I uninstalled it from my phone. And if somebody sends me something like, cool, I can see that exact thing. And that's it.
You can find me on X at Fortress Chris. Or on pretty much any social media network you would like. Also at FortressComicNews.com or at ChrisComicsCorner.substack.com. Give us 5-star reviews, like, subscribe, share, comment down below on YouTube, and all that fun stuff. Go to Joe's Patreon because he was cheated on. That kind of sucks.
By every girlfriend I ever had.
Thank you all for listening this week. We'll see y'all here next time.
And that's why Joe's single.